All right, so I want to talk to you guys about a very common situation that we get calls about really often when it comes to domestic violence cases. So, there are a lot of situations where there's a dispute that happens and a girlfriend ends up calling the cops only to calm things down. So they want to calm things down, or they want to, even situations where they just want to scare their boyfriends into acting right, right? Now, I would never try and discourage someone from calling the police. I would never do that. So I want to get that out of the way from the start. But what you need to understand is calling 911 is not a game. Unfortunately, and perhaps fortunately, however you look at it, for some police departments, it is their policy that if their officers come out in response to a domestic violence call, if the officers find probable cause, and remember, probable cause is one of the lowest standards in the law. If they have any reason to believe that a crime has been committed, then they're going to make an arrest. And I'd say probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the male in the situation. So the boyfriend's going to get arrested. And we all know that getting arrested can cost you your job, right? You have companies where there's a zero tolerance policy for domestic violence and getting arrested and convictions and all of that. So we know that you can lose your job. We know that if you get arrested, it's going to cost you money in order to bail out of custody. And we know that if you get convicted of a domestic violence crime, then it can cost you your freedom, right? Which can in turn cost you your job, even if your company did not have a zero tolerance policy. If you're in custody for 6 months, a year, or if it's a serious offense, a couple of years, then that's a big deal. And likely you're going to lose a lot of things that you have in place if you have to go into custody. And so people tend to know that the stakes are high when it comes to getting charged with domestic violence. And so with that said, a lot of times women will then want to somehow make the case go away. So the natural thing to do would be to try and call the investigating officer or the detective that the case is assigned to now, or they'll call the DA, or sometimes they'll even show up to court and almost beg the judge to dismiss the case. They'll say, hey, I'm not afraid of him. This is my boyfriend. I love him. I didn't even want him charged in the first place. I told the police I didn't want him arrested. I told him I didn't want him charged. I told him I wasn't going to cooperate in the process. And unfortunately, none of these methods seem to be effective. In fact, women end up getting stonewalled at every pass when they're trying to somehow make this case go away on their own. And you can only imagine how frustrating this is, how sad, mad, angry it can make you that you never envisioned this whole thing happening when you just called 911 to calm down an argument, to calm down a situation. And then, it turns into an arrest and having to pay bail money and facing criminal charges, and whether it's a misdemeanor or possibly even a felony. And now, there might even be protective orders in place, and it just has spiraled all out of control, and people don't know what to do. And so in this situation, I would say that you need to have the best lawyer you can find involved in the process. And ideally, that lawyer routinely handles criminal defense matters, domestic violence cases. Ideally, they have a full team, including a solid in-house investigator who's going to be able to immediately, long before the case even gets filed in court, they're going to be able to go out and do their defense investigation. So they're going to go out and collect witness statements. They're going to take pictures. They're going to shoot video. They might go out to the scene. They're going to do everything that's necessary in order to build up a solid defense even before the client is due in court. The reality is a good lawyer can get all this information together, reach out to the prosecutor, and sometimes make the case go away before the court date even comes around. And, just this year alone, we at Kersey Law have done this multiple times, such that our client never even had to step foot in court. And if you look at our reviews, you'll see some of the comments from how we did this. And so, I think a lot of times people mean well, and they'll give advice saying, hey, well, you should just wait and see what happens. You might show up to court and they won't have filed a case, or maybe it's been dismissed already, or somehow it'll just magically go away. And the reality is some domestic violence cases do not get filed. But for someone who has too much to lose, whether that's you have a really good job that you do not want to gamble away, you might have a professional license. Some professional licenses, if you get arrested, there's reporting requirements. If you get convicted, there's necessary mandatory disciplinary action, and some that can result in a revocation of your license or being put on probation, basically things you don't need, right? Or if you can't afford to have a tarnished record, right? You just can't afford to have a stain on your record because your reputation means too much. Or, just the possibility of going to jail, you don't want to leave that to chance. Then you absolutely have to reach out and find the best attorney that you can. Doing the wait and see approach just is not the way to go about it. And unfortunately, a girlfriend in this situation, as much as she has well and good intentions, is not going to be able to just call the detective and make the case go away, not going to be able to reach out to the DA and make it go away, or the judge. It's just not the way it works out. This is obviously not a game. It's a very serious ordeal. A conviction can negatively impact you forever. So I just want to say, be safe out there. If you are in this situation, sometimes people feel like they can't afford a solid attorney. Well, I can speak for Kersey Law and say that we have very competitive financing options, making our top-notch representation available to most people. So I hope you don't have to give us a call, but if you do, we're here. I'll also leave some information in a link below. Of course, we are based out of California, San Diego specifically. So unfortunately, if you are out of state, we're not able to help, but then you can just Google the best lawyer in your city and get them going. So if you got something out of this, please show me some love and hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you never miss a new video when it drops. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.